Will revelations about Spider-Man's brand new costume and prospective new team member end up causing a moral conundrum for the totally spaced out Spider-Man? Well, let's hop into the pages of Amazing Spider-Man issue number 15 and find out the answer to these and other questions together, shall we? So then, as the book opens up, it appears as if Peter Parker has returned back home to New York. He reunites with his aunt, who is understandably overjoyed to see him, what with his simply disappearing one day without a reason. Peter swears that this time things will be different, that this time he'll explain it all, so naturally none of this can really be true. In fact, it's a horrifying, twisted nightmare personifying Peter's guilt of leaving Earth and his family behind, as Dream Aunt May bursts into flames, flanked by the specter of Hellgate, the villain who kicked all of this off. Normally, I don't have nightmares like this unless I eat the Taco Bell that was stuck all the way at the back of the fridge. When Peter comes to, Rocket Raccoon is already there, and once again, these two's relationship is positively pure gold. For starters, Rocket refuses to call him Peter, saying that every Peter he knows is lame, and that Spider-Man just sounds like a worse version of Star-Lord, so he's just gonna call him Boss moving forward. Why is Rocket waking him up with a big gun though? Well, in the time that Peter fell asleep, Rocket got the entire team in trouble, as they are now getting chased and cornered by a fleet owned by a alien mob boss that Rocket just so happened to owe money to. So, a day that ends in Y for this not quite Guardians of the Galaxy crew. Now, down on the planet's surface, Spider-Man very heroically tries to square Rocket's debt for him. Apparently, this alien mob boss also runs an alien fight pit, one that he always needs not only new blood for, but specifically famous blood, and Spider-Man is so famous even in space. They think if he fights the pit's champion Betty, then they might very well end up turning a big profit. And yes, before you have to ask, this guy is also in league with Mojo World. It's where he got his cameras. Spider-Man is equal parts surprised that his celebrity extends to outer space, and he is also once again reminded of the current upheavals in the Marvel cosmic scene due to the events of Imperial. Peter also only agrees to take the fight with Betty on the condition that he won't have to actually kill anyone. Now, who is this Betty who is the champion of the pit? Well, smash cut to, and we see that she is in fact a giant hemorrhoid monster. Normally, fighting a creature of this size would spell death for Spider-Man, but thankfully he has his brand new Technarchy exosuit, which should hopefully give him an edge in fighting this Xeno threat. And while that is certainly true, Peter could not comprehend what came next. You see, all the people taking bets on the fight started betting on his suit, and that's because, despite what Dr. Xanto Starblood may have said before, this exosuit isn't nearly as much of a husk as he let on. Peter assumed a husk meant dead, but in reality, Xanto only put a restraining bolt on the creature so it would be forced to follow orders. Peter naturally finds this whole situation absolutely objectionable and demands a hard restart for the suit, even though he is currently in the middle of a life or death fight right now. What follows next is quite entertaining. The suit reboots, forcing Spider-Man in the middle of this literal alien kumite to T-pose, which is a very funny, very current video game adjacent joke. I forget that Joe Kelly also wrote for video games on top of writing for comics. The suit regains sentience, and along the way, both the suit and Spider-Man swap memories for a little bit. We get short little flashes involving the Spider, Aunt May, as well as the true origin of this suit, whose name we later learn is Glitch. Apparently, this thing was part of the greater Technarchy before eventually having a falling out with his people, leaving his planet and drifting through space for 100-odd years, before it got picked up by Xanto and willingly sold itself into a kind of slavery. It's also not a huge fan of spiders or humans for that matter, saying that Peter's entire mind is just a sea of self-loathing. And I mean, hey, mad relatable, right? Glitch being here also pretty much means any pretext to fair fighting, and seeing this gladiatorial match to its end are completely thrown out the window. Peter and his crew end up fighting back against the alien mobsters' forces, and Glitch himself already proves to be a real MVP of this brand new team by mounting Betty and using its ability to interface with other species to get Betty a brand new, better contract with this mobster under fear of being eaten. It's during the big fight, chaos, and escape too, Rocket ends up letting it slip to Spider-Man that the only reason he owes this alien crook money is because he was looking for information regarding his missing family. Again, is he talking about the Guardians? Is he just talking about about Groot, I don't know. But the plot most certainly thickens. Now, too, Spider-Man is going to be in a much weaker position as he no longer has his fancy alien suit to help protect him. Xanto thinks that he's absolutely stupid for letting it go. But Peter is not only a good guy, but also a guy who has had way too many headaches over the decades when it comes to dealing with alien suits. We also learned that Peter and Xanto are that much closer on their own personal science project as well, though we're not exactly certain what they're working on. Neither is Rocket, though he does overhear the conversation and is pretty damn offended to see Peter cozying up with the very same man who kidnapped them all. Obviously, the truth is more complicated than that, but Spidey is going to have to try extra hard to get Rocket back on his side. Who he isn't going to need to try a lot harder to impress, though, is Raylith, who is apparently all sorts of turned on by Peter's many acts of selflessness, helping Rocket square his debt, helping Glitch be free. That just pushes all of her buttons and she throws herself at Peter as the comic comes to a close. Damn, Parker, you've been in space for how long and you're already making out with beautiful green-skinned women? Captain Kirk would be so proud. And so that was Amazing Spider-Man issue number 15, everybody. Another really enjoyable, really exciting, if not necessarily groundbreaking issue. Not that I'm complaining, though. The Spider-Man book has been starving for a sense of consistency, any consistency really, for so long now. The fact that it's finally here is cause for some serious celebration. Is this spaced out Spider-Man book basically just Diet Guardians of the Galaxy? I mean, yeah, but I like Guardians of the Galaxy and we don't have a traditional Guardians book now, so why can't Spider-Man play in that space? Hell, with all the Imperial connections, this book might feel like the most connected Spider-Man has been to the rest of what's going on in the Marvel Universe, and geez, I don't even know how long. There's also some pretty good mystery stuff pushing the story forward too. What do Peter and Xanto have planned to try and make him stronger? Will Peter ever manage to get things to a good place with Rocket? Who exactly is Rocket looking for, and why are they apart right now? I don't know, but these are definitely questions that have me invested enough to keep reading. Hell, the worst thing I can really say about this issue and this new status quo as a whole is that Marvel has kind of already showed their hand and basically announced that this status quo won't be around forever. At New York Comic Con, they already announced that there's going to be a big Venom Carnage crossover called Death Spiral coming in April, which, yeah, I know is still a ways away, but man, I just wish I could live in this sci-fi Spider-Man experiment for just a bit longer. Even if reading comics has taught me the lesson over and over again that at the end of the day, the status quo is always reset. Overall, though, I think I feel comfortable giving this issue a 7.5 out of 10. It's a lot of fun, and I am enjoying that Spider-Man is so much fun recently. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.